The lonely voice in the dark. Daniel's ship crashed on a quiet alien planet where no cities shined and no stars moved in the sky. His radio was dead. His food was low, and the air was thick like fog but strangely sweet. He walked slowly through a jungle filled with glowing blue trees and large vines that pulsed like veins. His boots pressed into soft ground that almost felt alive. Every step made a soft squish sound. He didn't know what kind of planet this was. He just knew one thing. He was alone, or so he thought. As night fell fast like a curtain pulled over the world, he saw something in the distance. A cave. It looked like a dark mouth waiting to swallow him. He had no choice. He needed shelter. He stepped inside and turned on a small light from his wrist. It flickered and showed damp stone walls covered with strange markings that looked like a forgotten language. He took a few more steps, then froze. A soft voice called out from the shadows. It was not a growl or a machine sound. It was a woman's voice. "Wait, don't leave. I'm still here." Daniel lifted his light and pointed it towards the sound. Something moved, slowly, carefully. Then she stepped into the glow. She was tall, taller than any human woman. Her skin was silver blue and smooth like polished glass. Her eyes were wide and glowing faintly purple. Long white hair fell past her shoulders. She wore no clothes but didn't seem ashamed. Her arms hung at her side, but her fingers trembled like she was cold. But it was not cold. Daniel stepped back, unsure. He had seen many alien species during his travels, but nothing like her. She stared at him for a long moment. Her voice was soft and calm, but filled with something deeper. Hunger, fear, hope. "Can you satisfy me first?" she asked. Daniel blinked. "What?" Her lips barely moved. "No one has ever touched me. Not once. Not even by accident." Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He didn't understand. She looked strong, yet fragile, like she could break or explode at any second. His light flickered again, and in the moment of darkness, he heard her steps come closer. "I'm not dangerous to you," she whispered. "I don't think so." He slowly lowered his hand. "Why are you here?" Her eyes watered. She looked away. "They locked me here, said I was cursed, that my body rejects all contact. But you're here now. Maybe you're different." A sudden rumble shook the cave. Dust fell from the ceiling. The ground moved like something massive had just rolled underneath it. The alien girl grabbed Daniel's arm in panic. He expected pain. Burning. Death. Nothing happened. He looked at her fingers wrapped around his arm. She was warm. Alive. Not hurting him. Her eyes widened. She looked down at her hand, then back at his face. "You didn't die," she said in shock. Another deep sound echoed from the back of the cave, like something breathing. But it was not her. It was something else. She pulled him close. Her voice became urgent. "There's no time. You touched me and lived. That means you can help me escape. I can't run alone. But with you, maybe we both survive." Daniel didn't know what was happening. But in her eyes, he saw something real: fear. And for the first time since he crashed, he realized he wasn't alone anymore. Not really. Something ancient moved in the shadows behind her. A shape with too many arms. A voice too deep to understand. It did not like visitors. The girl clutched Daniel's hand tighter. "We must go. Now. Before it wakes fully. Before it remembers why I was locked away." He nodded, slowly at first. Then they ran out of the cave, into the night, towards something unknown. But somehow, together, her body rejects all others. But not his. The cold wind hit their faces as Daniel and the silver-skinned alien girl ran through the glowing jungle. Strange plants twisted toward them, but the girl led the way without fear. Her bare feet touched the ground like she belonged here. Daniel followed, breathing hard. He kept looking at her hand holding his, still surprised that she hadn't burned him or killed him by touching him. "You still haven't told me your name," he said between breaths. She looked over her shoulder and gave a small, nervous smile. "Kashara," she said. Her voice was soft, but it echoed like it had waited years to be spoken. Suddenly she stopped. Daniel almost bumped into her. They were at the edge of a high cliff, and the jungle below looked endless. Lights floated in the air like fireflies. Kashara looked around quickly, then pulled Daniel behind a large stone covered in glowing moss. "We're not safe," she whispered. "They will come for you." "Who?" he asked. "My people, the sacred guards. They never allowed anyone to touch me. They will see you as a violation, an enemy. But you touched me first," he said. She looked away. "I was desperate. I've been alone for so long. I didn't think it would work. But your body, your touch, it didn't kill me. That means something, Daniel. I don't know what, but it means something." Before he could speak, they heard the sound of fast footsteps in the trees behind them. Then came the voices. Sharp, angry, clicking sounds in a language Daniel didn't understand. 3 tall figures stepped out of the jungle. All of them had the same glowing eyes as Kashara, but wore dark armor with golden symbols. Long spears made of light hummed in their hands. The leader pointed a finger at Kashara. "He touched you." Kashara stood in front of Daniel, her arms out like a shield. "Yes," she said firmly. "And he lived. He is not like the others." They, guards hissed in unison. "No one touches the sacred born. You were created for something higher. You are not meant for feelings. I am not a statue." She snapped. "I feel pain. I feel fear. And now I feel something else. I want to understand it." With him, Daniel stepped forward, confused but brave. "I didn't hurt her," he said. "I don't want to cause trouble. I just crashed here." The leader's eyes narrowed. "Then you must die for your mistake." The spears lit up brighter, pointed at Daniel's chest. Kashara's body trembled. But then something amazing happened. The ground beneath her shimmered. Her skin began to glow brighter than before. A wave of heat pushed the guards back a few steps. She wasn't attacking them. She was changing. "I won't let you harm him," she said. "He is the first to touch me without pain. That means his energy matches mine. That means I'm not cursed. I'm evolving." The guards looked at each other, unsure. One of them lowered his weapon. "If she's right, then we can't interfere. The bond must complete." But the leader was not ready to surrender. She is confused, tainted. If she fuses with a human, she becomes less than sacred. She becomes like them, emotional, weak. "I'd rather be weak and loved," Kashara whispered, "than strong and alone." Daniel stood beside her now. He didn't understand everything, but he saw the courage in her eyes and felt it in her grip. "We'll go," he said. "We don't want to fight. Just let us leave in peace." The guards hesitated. Then, slowly, they stepped aside. The leader looked furious, but said nothing. Kashara led Daniel past them, never letting go of his hand as they disappeared deeper into the jungle. Daniel spoke quietly. "Are we safe now?" "No," she said. "This is only the beginning. You've touched what no one ever dared. Now we must find the ancient cave of bonding. If we don't, my body may start rejecting you again. Slowly, painfully. And if we do," she looked at him with eyes full of quiet hope, "then maybe I'll finally feel what it means to be held. Not just touched, held, loved, alive. They kept walking as the night grew darker behind them, and something deep inside both of them began to awaken. Something sacred, something dangerous, something neither of them could escape now. The cave of first contact. The trees began to thin as the jungle opened into a wide valley, bathed in silver light from a huge, cracked moon above. Kashara walked ahead, her steps slow but certain. Daniel followed close behind. He had never felt this kind of silence before. Not empty, but heavy, like the land was watching them. They had been walking for hours without rest. Daniel's legs hurt. His skin was scratched by vines. But still, he moved forward, because every time Kashara looked back at him, he saw something in her eyes. Trust. And something softer. Something unspoken. At the valley's center stood a dark hill with a jagged opening. Strange symbols carved into the stone pulsed faintly like they were breathing. Kashara stopped and pointed at it. "This is the cave of first contact," she said quietly. "No one has entered in over 1,000 years. My people say this place is cursed. I think it's just waiting." Daniel stepped closer. The entrance looked like a mouth, but instead of fear, he felt calm. Warmth flowed from it, as if it welcomed him. Inside, the air changed. It was thick but not choking, warm but not hot. Glowing crystals lined the walls, casting soft colors. Blue, violet, pale green. Kashara moved ahead, her skin glowing faintly in the light. "This is where the old ones came," she said, "the first to bond with other beings. Before the laws, before the fear, they believed connection made us stronger." She walked to a stone platform in the middle of the cave. It looked like an altar, but older. Worn down by time, she turned to face him. "You touched me, Daniel. And I didn't burn. My body didn't attack you. That's never happened. Not once. I was trained to fear touch, told it would kill. But I want to understand. Why didn't it kill you?" Daniel stepped onto the platform beside her. "I don't know," he said. "Maybe I'm just the right kind of wrong." Kashara smiled at that. A small smile. Not forced. Real. She reached for his hand again. Her fingers brushed his. The light from the crystals grew brighter, as if responding to them. The cave itself hummed softly, like it approved. "I feel something new when I'm near you," she said. "Something warm in my chest. It's not pain. It's hope. But if I bond with you here, it becomes permanent. I'll never return to what I was. I won't be sacred anymore. Just a woman." Daniel didn't speak right away. He looked around at the cave, at her, at the gentle glow on her skin. She looked so powerful and so afraid at the same time. "You don't have to be sacred," he said. "You just have to be you." Her breath caught. She took his hand fully now. No burning, no pain, just soft warmth. The crystals around them flared suddenly. The floor beneath the platform rippled like water. From deep inside the cave, a soft voice spoke. Not words, but emotion. Peace. Unity. Joy. Kashara shivered. "It's starting. The cave has accepted you. It's testing our bond now. We must remain honest, pure. If we lie, or if our hearts turn cold, it will reject us. It will bury us inside forever." Daniel nodded slowly. He sat on the platform, and she sat across from him, legs crossed, hands still touching. She closed, her eyes. "Show me your memories," she whispered. "Let me feel them. I'll show you mine." His mind trembled as the connection formed. He saw her first memory, alone in a white room, cold, afraid, machines watching her every move. He felt her sadness, her longing for someone to see her as more than a test subject, She saw his pain too, being left behind in battle, watching his brother die, building walls around his heart to keep the world out. She saw his strength, not in war, but in kindness. Their minds shared silence after that. And then, light, a soft explosion of warmth inside the cave. The stones shook, the air pulsed, but neither of them let go. Kashara opened her eyes slowly. She looked different now, calmer, softer. I saw you, she whispered. You didn't flinch. You didn't run from what I carry inside me. You held it gently. And you didn't burn me, Daniel said. You let me in. That means something, doesn't it? She nodded. The bond has begun, but it's not complete. For that, we must face the final chamber. Only one test remains. What test? He asked. Her voice trembled slightly. You must feel my fear. And still choose me, no matter what you see. Daniel stood and helped her up. I'm ready. The cave opened a new passage ahead, glowing red like a heartbeat together. They walked into it, not as strangers, but as something more. A test of control. The tunnel ahead was narrow and dark, pulsing faintly like it was alive. The red light wasn't fire. It came from the walls themselves, glowing with steady rhythm like a heartbeat. Kashara held Daniel's hand tightly, but her fingers were cold now, not like before. This part is dangerous, she whispered. The cave will test both of us. It will try to feed on our deepest fears and desires. If we give in, it will trap us here forever. Daniel didn't stop. He looked into her glowing eyes, then nodded. I trust you. She gave a weak smile, but it didn't last long. They stepped forward into the final chamber. The floor was glass. Beneath it, glowing energy swirled in patterns that moved like a storm. The ceiling was high, but lost in darkness. In the middle stood a strange platform surrounded by light threads floating in the air, like a web, or a trap. Kashara stepped onto it first. The light threads reacted immediately, wrapping gently around her arms and waist, holding her in place, not hurting. Not yet. She looked at Daniel. Now you. Come to me, but only if your heart is clear. He stepped up, and the lights reached out toward him. As soon as they touched his chest, his mind exploded with sound and images. His old wounds returned. The day his squad was ambushed, the screams of dying men, the silence that followed, his failure, his guilt. He saw his brother's face, broken and fading. He clenched his fists. His breathing grew fast. The cave was feeding him fear, now. Testing him, across from him, Kashara gasped. The lights were showing her something too. No, she whispered, eyes wide. Not this. Not this memory. Tears ran down her cheeks. Her body shook as the threads glowed brighter around her. Daniel took a step forward, fighting the storm. Inside his mind, he reached for her. Kashara. He said, I'm here. Don't let go. But she couldn't hear him. In her mind, she was a little girl again. Trapped in a cold lab, dozens of scientists watched her from behind glass. Every time she cried, a loud alarm would punish her. Her caretakers wore gloves so they wouldn't touch her skin. Her first spoken word was, please. She had never been hugged, never been comforted. Only, studied only, feared until him. The threads began to tighten. The cave sensed her fear and was preparing to close her in. She could feel her breath weakening, her legs giving out. Her heart was screaming. Then she heard something. Real, warm, human. Daniel's voice. I'm not afraid of what you carry, he said softly. And I don't care what the past says. You are not broken. His hands touched her face. The threads around her sparked. Confused, for the first time in her life, She allowed someone to hold her in the middle of her panic. She didn't run. She didn't scream. She fell into his chest, shaking like a leaf in the storm. Daniel whispered, "I've seen death. I've seen failure. But nothing ever scared me like the thought of you disappearing." The cave reacted. The energy below the glass floor shifted from red to gold. The threads around them began to dissolve. Not all at once, but slowly, as if in surrender. Kashara's breathing slowed. Her heart, once racing, now beat in rhythm with his. She looked up, her voice small. "I thought my body would kill you, that my fear would burn you alive. But you stayed. You stayed even when I was ugly inside." "There's nothing ugly in you," Daniel said. "Only pain. And I've got plenty of that too. Maybe that's why we fit." A warm breeze filled the Ajo chamber. The crystals above began to glow with soft blue light. The storm below their feet faded into calm waves. Then came the voice, not spoken from any mouth, but from the cave itself. "The bond is real." Kashara stood slowly. The last thread around her wrist unwrapped itself and vanished. She reached up and touched Daniel's chest, right above his heart. "I feel you inside me," she whispered. "Not just your touch, your presence, your peace." Daniel held her hand. "And I feel like I've finally found something worth staying for," he said. They stood together as the chamber walls shimmered and opened, revealing a wide path lined with glowing flowers leading out of the valley. The test was passed, but something told them this was only the beginning of something greater. Urawatening. The path ahead was alive with quiet colors, violet petals, blue grass, and strange floating spores that lit the air like tiny stars. The cave behind them had closed, as if it had never been there. But Daniel felt its mark on him, deep inside his chest. And Kashara. She had changed. She didn't just walk differently now. She moved with purpose, with weight, as if her footsteps finally belonged to the ground she walked on. Her skin, once trembling with fear, now shimmered like starlight under calm water. She looked back at Daniel, and for the first time, he saw no fear in her eyes, only wonder. "I was never supposed to feel this way," she said softly as they walked. "No one taught me what peace feels like. They only warned me about what I could destroy." "You're not destroying anything," Daniel said. "You're becoming something new, something free." She reached for his hand again. This time, she didn't hesitate. Her fingers curled into his like they were meant to be there. As they crossed the glowing field, a gust of wind carried soft notes. A hum, like distant singing. Kashara stopped and closed her eyes. Her hair flowed behind her as if floating. She was listening to something deeper than sound. "The world is speaking to me," she said. "This is what my ancestors lost, the bond to feeling, to warmth. My creators erased it from us to make us pure. But it's not purity they made. It was silence." Daniel watched her, silent, letting her speak. "My body was made to destroy anyone who came close. That's what I believed. That's what they told me. And I believed it for so long I forgot how to hope. But now," she turned to face him, her eyes bright like twin stars. "You touched me, and I didn't die. You saw me, broken, afraid, and you didn't run. That woke something I never thought I had." Daniel stepped closer, his hand brushing against her cheek. "You don't owe me anything for that." "I know," she whispered. "That's why it means everything." Before he could reply, the ground trembled beneath their feet. A loud hum began to rise through the valley. Kashara's eyes widened in alarm. "They're coming," she said. "My people." They felt the ritual complete. They'll come to judge what I've become. From the trees, shimmering shapes began to appear, dozens of figures in silver armor, glowing with the same energy as Kashara, but their eyes were cold, sharp, and filled with ancient laws. One stepped forward. A tall figure with golden robes and markings across her face, the High Priestess. "You have completed the bond," she said, "and now we must decide if you are still one of us, or something that must be erased." Kashara stood firm, not hiding behind Daniel. "Not anymore. I am still one of you," she said, "but I'm more than what you allowed me to be. I've touched something pure, something real. This human has done what none of you could. He made me feel alive." The High Priestess raised a hand. "And for that, he may be punished. The laws forbid sacred bloods from mating outside their kind. He has corrupted you." "No," Kashara said, voice rising. "He healed me. You locked me in a cave like I was broken glass, but he held me without fear. He listened. He stayed." The ground between them cracked as the priestess raised a spear of energy. "Then choose, Kashara. Return to your people, untouched and holy, or stay with him and be forgotten forever by your kind." Daniel stepped forward, but Kashara held up her hand, stopping him. She took one slow breath, then another, then walked forward alone. Every step echoed in the silent valley. She stopped inches from the priestess. "I choose him," she said. "Even if I lose everything else, I won't give up the one being who saw me as more than a weapon." The priestess looked stunned. The others began whispering. No one had ever defied the sacred path so openly, but none of them moved. None attacked. Then, something strange happened. Kashara's skin began to glow brighter than ever. Not like before, this was something new. A soft, living light spread from her chest to her limbs, then to her fingertips, and even into the ground beneath her feet. The priestess took a step back, her voice trembling. You've awakened the prime spark." Kashara blinked. "What's that?" "It is the core of what we once were. Long before the laws, before the breeding labs, before we erased love from our blood. It means your bond is true. And now, you are no longer sacred blood. You are something higher." Daniel walked to her side, confused but proud. "What does that mean?" The priestess bowed her head slowly. "It means she is no longer ours. She belongs only to herself now." Kashara looked at Daniel, her voice barely a whisper. "I was born in silence, but now I'm awake." The Sacred Bond. The sky turned golden as the twin suns of the alien planet began to rise, casting long shadows over the valley. Kashara stood beside Daniel, her body still glowing from within. The soft light around her pulsed in time with her heartbeat. She was no longer just sacred blood. She was something beyond what her people had ever imagined. The crowd of armored aliens began to slowly back away. Their faces showed a mix of awe and confusion. They didn't know whether to worship her or fear her. The High Priestess still stood silently, eyes fixed on the couple. She finally lowered her spear and spoke. "You've awakened the prime spark, Kashara. That means your bond is beyond ritual, but the sacred laws still demand a final seal. You must complete the sacred bond, or your transformation will collapse. The energy will devour you from inside." Kashara turned to Daniel, her expression calm but serious. "She's right. What we've done so far, it's real, but incomplete. The final bond requires us to open ourselves fully. Not just our minds, not just our hands, our souls. If either of us hesitates, we could both die." Daniel nodded. "Then let's finish it. I'm not going anywhere." The High Priestess raised both hands. A circular platform of light began to rise from the ground. Floating symbols shimmered around its edge. It looked ancient and beautiful, like it had been waiting centuries to be used again. Kashara stepped onto it. Daniel followed. The crowd of aliens formed a circle around them, watching without speaking. The moment had turned sacred as soon as Daniel and Kashara stood in the center. A thin veil of energy wrapped around them. It wasn't solid. It was like air turned to gold. It pulsed gently, then slowly grew brighter. Kashara reached for Daniel's face. Her fingers trembled. "This is the moment I feared my whole life," she whispered. "But I'm not afraid now. Not because the fear is gone, but because you're here." He placed his hand over hers. "Then we go through it together. Whatever happens, we face it side by side." The platform lifted a few feet into the air. The golden veil tightened, closing them in completely. The world around them faded away. Now it was just the two of them. No sky. No watchers. No war. Just silence. And then the bond began. Their hearts beat in sync. Their thoughts tangled. Kashara saw flashes of Daniel's past. His childhood on Earth, running through rainy fields with his little brother, laughing. Then the war. The loss, the emptiness he carried like armor. Danielle saw her memories too. Her first moment of life inside a lab, floating in a tube of glowing liquid, hearing voices call her Project 47. Her fear, her loneliness, her deep hunger for warmth she never received. But then came the present. Their shared memories, the cave, the first touch, the fear that melted into wonder. The moment she cried into his chest and realized she was not alone anymore. The golden energy around them flared suddenly. The platform shook. Kashara gasped. Her body bent forward in pain. "It's starting," she said through clenched teeth. "The final seal, it demands our full selves. Everything, even the parts we hide." Daniel wrapped his arms around her. Then take it. Take all of me." Kashara's eyes glowed bright. Her skin pulsed with inner fire. She placed her forehead against his, and their energy joined fully. Light exploded from the center of the platform, reaching the sky above. The golden veil cracked, then shattered like glass, sending waves of warmth across the entire valley. The crowd fell to their knees. The High Priestess whispered, "It is done. The bond is complete. They are now one." Kashara fell into Danielle's arms, breathing heavily, her skin hot, but not dangerous. He held her close, gently stroking her hair. Her voice came softly. "I felt it. You didn't just open your heart. You gave it to me, and I gave you mine." Daniel smiled, brushing a tear from her cheek. "I didn't come to this planet to find love, but I think I found something even stronger. Someone who needed me as much as I needed her." The light faded slowly, leaving only the two of them standing in the soft glow of morning. Their bodies no longer shimmered. But something inside them had changed forever. The High Priestess stood again. She looked at Kashara with respect, but also with loss. "You are no longer bound by our laws. You are something new, something we cannot contain." Kashara nodded slowly. "Then let me walk my new path with him. Not above you, not below you, just free." The priestess stepped aside. "Go then. May your bond guide you through the stars." And so they walked together, hand in hand, away from the sacred grounds and into a future neither of them could see, but both of them believed in. Touched at last. The suns hung low behind the hills, painting the sky in soft pink and orange. A cool wind moved through the tall grass as Daniel and Kashara walked side by side, leaving the sacred valley behind. Their journey had begun with fear, confusion, and the sharp silence of isolation. But now, the silence felt different. It was peaceful, full, alive. They found shelter near a river, beneath a large crystal tree whose branches hummed gently in the wind. Daniel started a fire from the dried blue wood nearby while Kashara sat on a smooth stone, watching him closely. Her eyes no longer glowed with fear. They shimmered with thought. "You build so easily," she said. "No ceremony, no chance, Just hands and warmth. I think that's what I admire most about your kind. Daniel looked over his shoulder and grinned. You mean humans? She nodded. You make things real. You feel pain and still move forward. That's not weakness. That's something divine. Daniel walked over, sat beside her, and looked at the flames. I used to think feeling too much made me weak. After I lost my brother, I shut everything off. That's what soldiers are taught. Survive, not feel. But then I met you. Kashara's voice lowered, almost like a breath. I was never meant to feel either. They gave me life, but no touch. They gave me beauty, but no comfort. Until you came. She leaned her head on his shoulder. No sparks, no energy surges, no danger. Only calm, only human. I used to wonder what love felt like. She whispered. Now I think I know. It feels like not having to ask if I'm safe. It feels like being held without breaking. Daniel wrapped his arm around her shoulders, pulling her closer. You're not sacred blood to me. You're not a symbol or a weapon. You're just Kashara. That's all I've ever wanted. She closed her eyes. And I've wanted to be just that for so long. I never thought I'd find someone who would let me. The fire crackled softly above them. Stars began to blink into view, one by one, across the endless sky. Daniel looked up, then smiled to himself. I never imagined I'd fall in love on an alien world with someone who could have killed me just by touching my hand. Kashara gave a light laugh, warm and full. And I never imagined I'd beg someone to touch me. Not because I was broken, but because I wanted to feel whole. She turned to face him now, her hand reaching for his chest again. But there's one more thing I need, not for survival, not for ritual. Daniel tilted his head. What is it? Her voice barely left her lips. I want to be touched, just as a woman. Not a project, not a sacred born, not a danger, just me. Daniel said nothing at first. Instead, he placed his hand gently over hers. Then, slowly brought her palm to his lips and kissed it. Soft. No words needed. Kashara trembled. Not from fear, but because she had never felt anything so gentle in her life. She leaned forward, forehead to his, their breaths mixing. I don't need anything else, she said. You've given me more than I thought I could ever have. And in that moment, the bond they had forged in the ancient cave pulsed again. Not with light or ceremony, but with something simpler, something truer. Connection. No watchers, no laws, no tests. Just two beings who found each other in a galaxy full of silence as night deepened and the fire faded to soft embers. Daniel and Kashara sat together under the crystal tree, wrapped in each other's arms. The stars above them sang quietly, and somewhere in the distance, the old energies of the planet shifted. Peaceful now, settled, a new legend had been born, not of war, not of gods, but of a single impossible touch. A human who didn't fear the sacred blood, and a sacred blood who dared to be loved. And finally, at long last, she was touched. Not to be owned, not to be healed, but to be held. As herself. As Kashara. As someone who was no longer alone. The end.